Susana Morales, a 16-year-old, left her home on July 26, telling her sister she was heading back. Yet, as minutes turned into hours, Susana never came back. Her phone went silent and her trail disappeared without a trace. Days and weeks slipped by with no sign of the teenager. The community was stunned when her body was found in a shocking and unexpected place. The town was left questioning who could have taken her, what transpired in those final moments, and most unsettlingly, if someone was still hiding in the shadows. Susana was a high school student who, like many others, enjoyed spending time with friends. On the night she was abducted, she had visited the Sterling Glen apartment complex to hang out with friends. While walking home, she didn't know it would be her last journey. When she failed to return that night, her family grew worried and reported her missing. As hours passed and days stretched into months, the police, friends, and family tirelessly searched for Morales, using every tool at their disposal, including the Life 360 app, which tracked her last known movements. Despite their relentless efforts, no one knew her whereabouts for months, leaving the community gripped with fear and uncertainty. Several months later, Morales's body was discovered in a rural area along Highway 316. A grim development that raised even more questions about the circumstances of her death and who was responsible. Susana Morales was a high school student from Norcross, Georgia, a small town in Gwinnett County. At 16 years old, she was remembered by family and friends as a loving, kind, and lively young girl. She shared a close bond with her family, and her friends admired her warmth and kindness. Morales was known for her optimistic outlook on life and her ability to uplift those around her, leaving a lasting impression on everyone she encountered. Susana was close to her entire family, but she shared a particularly strong bond with her mother and sister, who actively helped search for her when she disappeared. The last time anyone saw Susana, she was hanging out with some of her closest friends at the Sterling Glen apartment complex, a regular meeting spot for the group before she left. Esmeralda Castillo and her boyfriend, Axel Zaragoza, were the last to see her afterward. They recalled that she was in good spirits and enjoying their time together before she began walking home. Axel and Susana had been dating for a few months prior to her disappearance. They frequently chatted on FaceTime, and nothing seemed unusual during those calls. Later, Axel described Susana as a caring person who had a unique way of making others feel loved and valued. Susana went missing on the evening of July 26, 2022. Since her home was less than 2 miles from the Sterling Glen apartments, a route she traveled daily, there was initially little cause for concern. At the start of her journey, nothing seemed unusual. Later, surveillance footage captured Morales walking near the apartment complex. That was the last time anyone saw her alive. She had no reason to fear anything that night since she was walking home through a familiar neighborhood. Within hours, her family and friends tried calling her, but their calls went unanswered. They held on to hope that she had stayed over with friends or simply lost track of time. As the hours passed without any contact, anxiety grew. Susana's mother, Maria Brand, became increasingly concerned when her daughter didn't return home and immediately started reaching out to Susana's friends to find her. As the night wore on, the family's worry deepened, and by morning, it was clear something terrible had happened. Esmeralda Castillo, to help find Susana, her best friend also reached out to people they both knew. Castillo mentioned that Susana had left the apartment building as planned, showing no indication she intended to go anywhere else. Using the Life 360 app, Susana's family and friends discovered that she was miles away from where she was supposed to be, near Highway 316. This discovery heightened their worry, suggesting she had become lost and ended up far from her expected route. Quickly, her loved ones spread the word about her disappearance and searched tirelessly for any clues that might lead to her safe return. Despite their efforts, no solid leads emerged, and the mystery surrounding Susana Morales' fate remained unresolved. The quiet suburban neighborhood was stunned when such a bright young girl went missing. With fears for her safety growing daily, even as police combed the areas where her phone last showed activity. After Susanna vanished on July 26, 2022, her family and friends devoted months to uncovering what had happened that dreadful night she failed to come home. The Morales family was overwhelmed with fear and uncertainty. Susanna's mother, Maria Brand, and her sister, Jasmine Perez, played vital roles in the search. They did everything possible to bring Susanna home safely, collaborating closely with the police and local community. The emotional toll on the family was immense as they repeatedly contacted authorities, pursued every possible lead, and clung to the hope that Susanna was still alive. Throughout this agonizing period, family and friends relied on the Life 360 app to track Susanna's movement. The app showed her phone's last location near Highway 316, a remote area completely unlike her usual surroundings. Despite this crucial lead, weeks and months went by without any major breakthroughs. Police officers and volunteers continued to comb the area, searching for any clues that might help locate her. Susanna's mother spoke from the heart, praying for her daughter's safe return and urging the community to help with the search. Everyone involved was under immense stress during this time. The detectives working the case felt deeply committed as well. Lieutenant Xavier Biggers of the Gwinnett County Police Department dedicated countless hours to chasing down every lead in the investigation. Eventually, Lieutenant Biggers broke down in court, expressing his deep commitment and unwavering determination to bring Susanna home. This moment revealed the close bond he had formed with the family throughout the investigation. Despite his relentless efforts, the family endured a painful 7-month period of uncertainty. With no clear answers or direction, their fears and anxieties only grew stronger over time. Then on February 6, 2023, tragedy struck. A passerby walking near Highway 316 in Decula, Georgia, discovered bones in a wooded area beside the road, a rural spot about 20 miles from the Sterling Glen apartment complex where Susanna was last seen. The remains were soon identified as Susanna Morales, bringing an end to the heartbreaking months-long search. This loss devastated her family and everyone who had come together to support them during the search. When police arrived at the scene, they immediately began collecting evidence to understand how her body ended up there and what had happened in her final moments. It was now the police's responsibility to uncover what happened to Susanna during the hours after her disappearance. Investigators had suspected foul play for months, and now they had confirmation. At the scene, they discovered crucial evidence that connected her death to the broader investigation. Alongside Susanna's body, they found signs suggesting a possible weapon had been used, making it even more challenging to understand how she ended up in such a remote location and who was responsible for her murder. As the investigation into Susanna Morales' death and disappearance progressed, the police were resolute in their determination to identify the perpetrator. Initially, there were no clear suspects, so authorities pursued multiple leads. However, progress came when key pieces of evidence pointed toward a man named Miles Bryan, a police officer from Doryville who lived near the area where Morales was last seen, became a person of interest. Suspicion arose after it was revealed that Morales' family had used the Life 360 app to trace her last movements. The app indicated that her phone had been near Bryan's apartment complex before going offline miles away, near the woods where her body was eventually discovered months later. This information placed Bryant near key locations connected to Morales' disappearance, which heightened detective suspicions about Bryant's odd behavior, even beyond the GPS data. Bryant's actions in the days following Morales' disappearance raised several red flags. Notably, his personal Glock 19 was reported stolen the day after Morales went missing. Although this might seem unrelated at first, investigators found Bryant's attitude toward the theft suspicious. He claimed the gun was taken from his unlocked car, but showed little interest in investigating the incident. Detectives were baffled by his apparent lack of concern over losing a weapon, especially since he was near the area where Morales vanished. During the court hearing, Bryant's ex-girlfriend, Avon, testified that he had been acting strangely around the time Morales disappeared. She mentioned that Bryant ignored her on the night Morales went missing, and later, she noticed scratches on his truck and a broken mirror. Details that detectives believed could be linked to a confrontation involving Morales. This gave investigators even more reason to zero in on Bryant as a prime suspect. As the investigation progressed, they discovered that Bryant had known Morales and her friends previously. Reports indicated that Bryant had once offered Morales and a friend a ride home, which they declined. Increasing amounts of evidence linked Bryant to Susana Morales' death, especially considering his prior interactions with her. In early 2023, after months of probing, Miles Bryant was finally arrested and charged in connection with her death. Initially, Bryant faced charges of concealing Morales' death and filing a false report due to his suspicious claim of a stolen gun. However, as more evidence surfaced, the charges escalated to include murder and theft. His proximity to the crime scene, combined with strong proof of his actions during Morales' disappearance, helped solidify the case against him. The community was stunned to learn that Bryant, a police officer they had trusted, was implicated in such a horrific crime. Once sworn to serve and protect, Bryant now faced blame for one of the area's most shocking incidents in recent years. Miles Bryant, a retired police officer from Doryville, was charged with the kidnapping and murder of 16-year-old Susana Morales. His trial began in June 2024, following months of investigation and emotional testimonies from Morales' family, friends, and law enforcement officials. Everyone involved was determined to seek justice for Susana. At the start of the trial, great attention was given to Bryant's behavior in the days after Morales disappeared, as well as the evidence that ultimately connected him to the crime. Some of the most powerful moments in the trial came when Morales' family, particularly her mother Maria Bran, shared the pain of losing their daughter and the agonizing uncertainty they endured before her body was found. Maria's statement set a somber tone, detailing the heartbreak her family experienced as they hoped for Susana's return, but gradually faced the reality that she would never come home. Jasmine Perez, Susana's sister, also testified, explaining how the Life 360 app was crucial in tracking Susana's phone and revealing its last known location. Brian's ex-girlfriend, Avon Smyers, provided damaging testimony as well, describing his odd behavior around the time Susana disappeared, the scratches on his truck, and his inconsistent explanations, all of which strengthened the case against him. Brian's behavior and character became even more complex as the trial progressed. Several police detectives took the stand to present their testimony. Gwinnett County Police Lieutenant Xavier Biggers, who led the investigation, had a particularly emotional moment in court. Biggers broke down in tears while describing the intense effort he put into finding Morales and the deep impact the case had on him. Other officers also provided crucial testimony, sharing details about their interactions with Bryant during the investigation. The prosecution presented a substantial amount of evidence linking Bryant to Morales' disappearance and death. One key piece was data from the Life 360 app, which placed Bryant near the location where Morales' body was found. This contradicted Bryant's claim that he had no involvement in her death, showing he was in the area at a critical time. Additionally, the case placed significant focus on Bryant's supposedly stolen gun. Police found it suspicious that he reported the theft just one day after Morales went missing, raising questions about his true intentions. Public trust in Bryant eroded further because he showed little interest in pursuing the investigation into his stolen gun. His conflicting statements about the missing weapon suggested that he was trying to conceal his involvement in a serious crime. Forensic evidence from the site where Morales' body was discovered, along with witness accounts placing him near the area where Morales was last seen, added to the case against him. After several days of deliberation, the jury found Miles Bryant guilty on multiple serious charges. He was convicted of murder with intent, felony murder, kidnapping, and making false statements to law enforcement. These verdicts indicated that the jury believed Bryant had not only taken Morales's life, but also attempted to cover up the crime by falsely reporting his gun stolen. However, Bryant was acquitted of attempted rape due to insufficient evidence from the prosecution. He was sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole, bringing closure to a case that deeply impacted the Morales family and the community. The family, having lost a cherished daughter and sister, endured a profound sense of grief following the trial's conclusion. The case brought an end to months filled with grief and uncertainty. The tragic death of Susana Morales serves as a powerful reminder that danger can strike even in places that seem safe. The community was shaken to its core when Miles Bryant, a trusted police officer, was found guilty of her murder. His betrayal of trust was devastating, leaving a lasting scar on Morales's family and the entire community. Remembering Susana Morales is vital because she was a victim of violence against women. For many, the betrayal by someone sworn to protect them deepened the tragedy. To honor Susana's memory, her story should inspire action to prevent similar acts of violence in the future. We must strive for stronger protections for vulnerable individuals and hold those responsible for public safety to the highest ethical standard. Only then can we help ensure that such a tragedy never happens again.